Harvey's typology of theories, and we looked at his three types of theories. First was the status quo theory, the second was counter-revolutionary theory, the third was revolutionary theory. Okay, and then last time we looked at his observation that individual propositions and theoretical structures don't necessarily belong in themselves to any of the above theories. They only enter a category of in the process of use. So it's not a particular proposition or theoretical structure. So individual proposition and theoretical structures in themselves are not either status quo proposition and structures or counter-revolutionary propositions or structures or revolutionary proposition and structures. They become one of these on how we use them in a particular social situation, in a particular context, which means how we use them and for what purpose we use them and in what context we use them and what are the aims, etc., which makes individual propositions and so theoretical structures fall in one of these categories. Okay, we looked at in detail about this claim. Otherwise, proposition theories remain abstracted, idealized, and ethereal formulations which possess form but not content. So they get individual proposition and structures get their form through how we use them, for what purpose we use them, and in what context we use them. So counter-revolutionary formulations are frequently kept permanently in this contentless state. So counter-revolutionary formulations are idealized, abstracted formulation because they are not meant to be used in a particular social situation, but they are basically idealized claims whose only purpose seems to be to foil revolutionary theory. Okay, so today we had discussed all this, and we had some reservations about these claims. Even though I thought that the overall observation is useful for our purpose, I had some reservation about it as well. So we mentioned that in the last session. So today we are going to look at the number 4. And hopefully try to finish it today, this discussion or this series. So a theoretical formulation can, as circumstances change. So a theoretical formulation, by theoretical formulation, I guess he means a set of particular propositions and theoretical structures which are used for particular purpose. So a theoretical formulation can, as circumstances change, and depending on its application, move or be moved from one category to another. So a particular theoretical formulation can become part of status quo theory or counter-revolutionary theory or revolutionary theory, depending on how people use them. So according to the use we make of particular proposition and particular theoretical formulations, a theory will move from one category to another. So this is basically a reformulation of what he said in the previous paragraph. This suggests two dangers which must be avoided. Now, personally, I think you can't just use, and we discussed this last time as well, any proposition or any theoretical structure for anything. Some theoretical structures and some particular proposition might be useful within a particular theory only. But we might be able to distance or dissociate individual propositions from the structures, theoretical structures in which they are embedded. And that would apply to institutions as well, I guess. I might give you some example later on, but let us go through what he is saying here. So there are two dangers in this because we can use different theoretical formulations for different purposes. So the first, what are two dangers? Counter-revolutionary co-optation, a perversion of a theory from a revolutionary to a counter-revolutionary state. So a revolutionary theory can be co-opted for counter-revolutionary purposes or become a counter-revolutionary theory through its particular use. Okay, so that's one of the dangers for a revolutionary theory. Number 2, the second danger is counter-revolutionary stagnation, the stagnation of a revolutionary theory through failure to reformulate. So revolutionary theory has two dangers here. The first danger is that it can be hijacked by counter-revolutionary theory through its particular usage. And the second danger is that it can get stagnated if it doesn't keep up with changing social situation. So the stagnation of a revolutionary theory through failure to reformulate it in the light of new circumstances and situation. So, for example, if Marxism is a revolutionary theory, its purpose is to let's discuss it a bit in detail. Okay. So, because of the fact that a particular proposition and theoretical structures can be used for different purposes, for example, there's a party, a revolutionary party, and its structures can be used by capitalists, non-capitalists, by revolutionary, by counter-revolutionary. Party in itself has no fixed usage. So a party, the structure of party can be hijacked for revolutionary purposes, can also be hijacked for counter-revolutionary purposes. So in that sense, for example, we can see that if we look at the history of 19th and 20th century, a lot of communist and Marxist organizational structures were adopted by nationalists, fascists, later on even Islamic revivalists and revolutionaries. And the fact is, the Marxist structures themselves came from liberal and democratic and labor traditions belonging to different theoretical orientations, etc. So they can be adapted and adopted and used for different purposes. Okay, because of this fact, revolutionary theory especially faces two dangers according to Harvey. Because he's a Marxist, so he's focusing on his own tradition, I guess. The first one is the revolutionary theory is hijacked by purists. Those people who would insist on not deviating from the original, for example, Marxist theory, even when the circumstances have totally changed. And then they will criticize perversion of a theory from a revolutionary to a counter-revolutionary state. So a revolutionary theory can become counter-revolutionary theory if it remains an idealist theory, and it is not adapted to particular circumstances, or it is not used to affect change, for example. And by the same token, counter-revolutionary stagnation is the second danger. The stagnation of revolution through failure to reformulate. So there's a revolutionary theory and it doesn't keep up with the changes in the circumstance and situation. By this means, the revolutionary theory may become a status quo theory. In what sense it will become a status quo theory? Not necessarily that it is related to the capitalist status quo, for example, but a status quo theory that it is keeping things as they are within the revolutionary theory. So it is not changing according to the changed circumstances. So the status quo here, I think, is the status quo of the revolutionary movement itself. So both dangers are similar dangers, but slightly different as well, because the first danger stems from idealistic, abstracted, purist intentions. So in that sense, you are more interested in the purity of a theory rather than its use, which is to change, to affect change. And in the second instance, the danger is that the theory itself, so theory remains as it is and doesn't change. So here in the first one, the counter-revolutionaries, they they agitate against the change of the theory, and in the second one, theory itself, for whatever reason, remains oblivion to the changed circumstances. So the first danger is from counter-revolutionaries, who may be within the revolutionaries, but because of their idealistic bent of mind, they resist any change. On the other hand, in the second case, the theory itself doesn't have any resources, or so theory's main interest is to preserve its own status and the status of its institutions, and it forgets about its main purpose, which is to affect change. So it forgets about renewing itself. So every revolutionary theory, I guess the lesson for us is that every revolutionary theory needs a continuous renewal and update itself in the context of the changed circumstances. So, for example, for a Marxist theory, that would be, for example, if capitalism itself has changed, you want to overthrow capitalism again. Now, capitalism itself has gone through a tremendous change since Marx. For example, today, capitalism is not production-based; it is financial-based, or overwhelmingly, the production side has become, less important, etc. At least in the so-called developed world. So, if you don't take this into an account, and you don't update your theory on how you are going to overthrow capitalism, then your theory is a stagnated theory. It has become irrelevant to the change or its purpose, and the only thing it can do is to just keep its own status as a revolutionary theory alive by keeping its institutions alive, etc. Okay, so that's what I understood from these two things. Let's go back and read it again. So, a theoretical formulation can, as circumstances change and depending upon its application, move or be moved from one category to another. This suggests two dangers which must be avoided. Counter-revolutionary cooptation, the perversion of a theory from a revolutionary to a counter-revolutionary state. Counter-revolutionary stagnation. So, the stagnation of a revolutionary theory through failure to reformulate it in the light of new circumstances and situations. By this means, the revolutionary theory may become a status quo theory. But there are also two important revolutionary tasks. In the face of this danger, I guess. Revolutionary negation. Taking counter-revolutionary theory and exposing it for what really is. So one important task for Marxists, I guess, or even Islamists, is to actually fight other co-Marxists or other people who. So it seems to be saying that one of the most important tasks is not to expose the fraud of capitalists, but to expose the fraud of pseudo-revolutionaries, those parties which seem revolutionary but are actually blocking revolutionary path through their idealism, I guess. So I guess all theories, revolutionary theories must become, very practical, or reformist theory, in the way David Harvey had suggested here. The second one is revolutionary reformulation, taking a status quo or counter-revolutionary formulation, setting them into motion or providing them with real content. So these revolutionaries don't seem to have anything of their own. They are relying on a status quo and counter-revolutionary and using them to identify real choices imminent in the present. So that suggests to me that what he is gearing for, and it has been clear all along, is reform, not revolution. So let us look at this a bit, and then we should be done. So the real task of revolutionary, first is negative, is to expose counter-revolutionaries for who they are or what they are. And that's because they are sort of blocking the way for the practical work, or they are blocking the way for exploiting the possibilities which presents themselves to us or which are presenting themselves to us at this moment. So that's why counter-revolutionaries are dangerous. So that's why the first task is to negate their legitimacy with the revolutionary masses or revolutionary audience, I guess, depending on which type of revolutionary you are. Okay, and then the real task is not to formulate your. So real task is to use the resources created by status quo theory as well as counter-revolutionary theory, because both are basically academics. By the way, Harvey is portraying them because they are oblivious to actual practical work. So you don't need to do much theory. You can develop your own theoretical resources through drawing on revolutionary formulation, counter-revolutionary formulation, and status quo formulation, and drawing on their resources. And what you can do is to take their abstract, idealistic formulation and make them and give them their real content. And how are you going to give them real content? Because you are going to use them for the practical purposes of exploiting the possibilities of change and affecting real change, identifying it and then affecting it. Okay, and once you have done that, then you use. So you counter-revolutionary theory plus status quo theory is providing you theoretical resources. Okay, and these theoretical resources are abstract, but you make them practical through giving them real content, and you provide the real content through using them for the practical projects of making change possible now and here, and exploiting the possibilities which are inherent in the present moment, in the present moment. So you use the theoretical formulation which people like Harvey they're sitting in universities and developing a real theory through exploiting both the status quo theory plus counter-revolutionary theory. And what we have to do is to set these abstract idealized formulation into motion and give them their real content. And what will give them their real content? Their use for practical projects. Probably that's what David Harvey think he has been doing in America, and other people have been doing in South America and all that. And using them to identify real choices which are possible today. So you analyze the present situation with the keen eye of a practical interventionist, and you don't forego small changes just because they are small changes, because small changes might mean a lot to those people whose life you are changing. So that's a typical reform mentality, because what is imminent in the present? The weakness of the system, yeah. But you can exploit weakness of the system to reform the system, but you can also explore weakness of the system to overthrow the system. So these are two different strategies. Similar but different strategies, because reform strategy is working within the system and trying to affect changes within the system with the hope that the system will become better for one sector of population which has been left behind. So that's a typical reform situation. But on the other hand, you can also look at the weaknesses of this present system, and you exploit them by not working within the system but developing alternatives alongside the system in such a way that a situation may develop where you are able to overwhelm the current system through this parallel system, through your parallel police to your parallel financial system, your parallel security system, etc. But it doesn't look like David Harvey has any clue about these two, or at least he's not interested in those distinctions. Okay, let's finish it off then. So at the end, he says that these tasks can be pursued, and these ranges can be avoided only if the counter-revolutionary posture of the organized pursuit of knowledge, and in particular disciplinary division, is recognized and reality is confronted directly. So counter-revolutionary seems to be his real enemy. Okay, I think that's enough. We had a good run with this, and hopefully we have learned quite a bit from this.